those who are unfamiliar with Zera Shimshon, he lived 250 years ago at the time of Oda Haim. He was his that one. That Amhal's father. I'm sorry, that Amhal's father-in-law was his rabbi. Just so you know, he had one son. He was a gadol ador. He had one son who passed away. And thank you, Simon. He had one son who passed away. Ayuah. He had one son who passed away, and he said, "Whoever learns my Torah, I don't have any children anymore, so whoever learns my Torah is going to see. I will pray for him in Shamayim. I will see Shefa and Yeshuot." And there's been countless stories. I can't tell you. I've done a lot of sigulot in my time. The biggest that I've seen is the strongest that I've seen is this. All the Gedolim, Rav Chaim Kanievsky, all different
This week we
Gedolim.
had Rav Yaakov Meir Shechter pictures.
Rav Shechter, yeah, sure.
Beautiful pictures.
You have the Yenuka saying the same thing.
Yes,
We asked the Yenuka. We asked Rav Chaim Kanievsky. Is asking what he believes about the Segula. He says yes, 100%.
He's still alive?
Rav Chaim, no. Allah Shalom passed away last year. The Yenuka, yes. Daddy went to him like a month ago. Yeah. And
Rav Chaim Yenuka?
No, two different rabbis. And he says 20 minutes. You have to learn for the Segula to kick in. You got to learn minimum 20 minutes. Rav Shechter said something interesting. He said you want it to work. You have to learn until you feel it, and you're like, oh, like it just like it hit like Shlomo when you learn it, and like sometimes you're like, oh, like you see it. He goes, Rav Shechter says that's what you're waiting for. Very interesting. So
talking about that, you want to see the piece of the Orach Chaim, the tefillin?
What, the when he passed away?
Yeah.
The Orach Chaim passed away. No, really, you should say the first story. The first story is that when he got exiled, we started saying this before we went live. When he got exiled, he got exiled, and so they go to a Gadol Ador's house. They said the minhag of the thing is every Friday night we go to the rabbi's house. His neshama goes up to Shamayim, comes up with Hidushim, and comes and tells us. Okay, Gadol Ador. We don't know his name. I don't know his name, but I do know that who told the story over Rabbi Kassin. Right? Rabbi Kassin, who was told by his rabbi, was a big mikubal. I think his last name was Dweck. Okay, who all the way back to I forgot who, but for the Hida, I think he linked it all the way to the Hida. But we know this is Emet. We know the stories they made. So he says so the Orach Chaim that Friday he goes to the field, or he goes to like the whatever, and he comes up with 42 Hidushim of Im Bechukotai Telechu, what it means. 42 different Hidushim corresponding to the Shem Membet. This Parshat Behar-Bechukotai.
I'm turning 42 on Shabbos.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice.
That's mine.
My birthday.
No way.
Yeah.
46. You can't keep getting money.
46.
Where should I be so?
Real tough one.
That's a real tough one.
Nice. So listen. So now, now he goes to this guy's house, and he goes. We'll go to the rabbi's house. Then he goes up. He comes and says. He comes back down. He says, "I have. We're going to say 12 hidushim from the Orach Chaim that said with the reason of hidushim on im bechukotai telechu." So the Orach Chaim gets up and says, because he says Rabbi Chaim ben Atad. So he gets up and says Chaim ben Atad. Not Rabbi Chaim ben Atad. Imagine you're the Orach Chaim sitting there. One is the rabbi, and one is he calling a regular guy.
Gadol.
What do you mean? And so they're all like, "Hey, what are you doing?" They don't know who he is. They don't know that he's him. So they're yelling at him, and he goes like, "All right, whatever." Then they leave him alone. After lunch, Shabbat lunch, they do the same thing. Okay, everybody goes to the rabbi's house. The rabbi comes back and says another 14. No, 12. It was 12, not 14. 12 and 12.
14.
Okay, fine. 14.
I heard that he was going to give 12 or 14, and then he forgot some. And the Orach Chaim fills in, says, "I remember the other ones."
Okay, so I didn't hear that part. Fine. So anyway, so he says, we're going to say there's another 14 Hidushim from Rabbi Chaim ben Atad. And then he screams up and says, "No, Chaim ben Atad." Because he's being humble. He doesn't want to hear a rabbi title before his name. He doesn't think he's a rabbi. Whatever.
Better good.
It's good. It's anava. You have to be humble. You have to be humble. So it has Seudah Shishit, the same exact thing happens. and now they get fed up. What do? They throw him in a closet and they lock the door. The Or HaChaim, they think he's some random guy who's disrespecting the rabbi. So in those times, they had respect for rabbis, right? What do you do when right? What do you do? It wasn't there. He wasn't there. So what do they do to him? So they throw him. Now comes Motzei Shabbat, and now right after Shabbat, there's a giant tornado. Giant tornado that comes out of nowhere. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. And there's no tornadoes in Istanbul. It's not a thing. It doesn't make any sense. So they go to the rabbi and says, Rabbi, find out what's going on. This is crazy. So he goes, okay. He goes, finds out. He goes up. And the malach tells him, he goes, this is your fault. He goes, what'd I do? He goes, you locked up the Or HaChaim. So he goes, what are you talking about? No, I didn't. I didn't do anything like that. What are you saying? He goes, the guy that's in your house, they threw him in the thing. He goes, that's the Or HaChaim. He goes, I didn't know. He goes, don't, you're not going to get punished because that was his tikkun. He had to be 1 year in exile, and this expedited. This is his tikkun. But release him. And the reason why, right? So the question, so he asked about what's the tornado? What is it? He goes, we know Gehinam is closed Motzei Shabbat. On Shabbat, sorry. When does it return? Motzei Shabbat. During that time, when the Or HaChaim would light the match for his Havdalah, that's when Gehinam would reopen. So now the fact that the Or HaChaim did not ignite his light, now he says Gehinam's on earth. So he goes, get him out, so everything will go back to normal. Crazy, great. Look, you deal with the Baal Shem Tov said that the Or HaChaim had the spark of the Mashiach. Okay, and he doesn't even know it.
Baal Shem Tov said that he only comes to the ankle of the Or HaChaim.
Yeah, look, he said nobody beats him. Nobody beats him to the Beit Midrash Shel Mala except Or HaChaim. He says, I'm always the first guy every night when I go learn. I'm always the first guy, except the Or HaChaim is always there first. Show you who the Or HaChaim was. It's crazy.
Where's the Or HaChaim buried?
How does it team? Which we're gonna plan. Yeah, down the block.
It's your site in Tammuz at some point.
So we're going to, God willing, we're gonna plan. We're gonna plan. Yeah, the 15th. We're gonna plan a trip to Haram and Hod. Okay, we're gonna go pick 4, 5, 6 rabbis. Okay, we're gonna go there. And we're gonna learn a Torah from each one of them, and we're gonna say Tehillim by each keved, and we're gonna pray. Right? That's a good trip. Haram and Hod, whatever. I got those Torahs from Yudi Reinitz, and we're gonna do it. Just so you know, by the one more thing before, one little tidbit before we go. They asked the what's his name? I forgot his name. Eibeshtitz, right? Eibeshtitz. Rabbi Yonatan Eibeshtitz, right? So a priest came to him, and he said, "I heard that you could prove God from any word in the Torah." That's what he tells him. So he tells him, pick a word. Let's pick a word. They open a Chumash randomly. What does it open to? This week's parasha. It didn't happen on Behar-Bechukotai. It was just, I'm saying it because it's relevant to us. It was our parasha.
What was the word?
Im.
Oh.
Im. If. So he tells him how. So he goes, how are you going to prove God? Im. So how do you spell Im? Aleph Mem.
What do you want?
Forget that.
No, it's a short version.
Forget it. He says, Umot Makshim. Umot.
Makshim.
Someone hold on, take this call. It's Palmer's, they have books for us. Answer the call. He goes, Umot Makshim, Umot Mevakshim, Aye Malchehem, Anachnu Meshivim, Enenu, Anu, Enu Mitayri. We're not afraid, right?
It just keeps going.
Aleph Mem, Abilu Makeru, Emet Makeru. אבל מלכיהם אינו מלך, אלא ממזר, אמו מרים. Imo Miriam, you understand? What's the matter? You don't like that? Imo, your mother, you're a mamzer. You're born out of wedlock.
No, that I understood.
Miriam, his mother was Miriam.
It wasn't like some
Mary.
Oh my God.
So he says to the priest, Aleph Mem, on the spot like this.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Wow.
That's great. So don't do that. Okay. So now we're going to learn a special limud, by the way. There's Aaron Haim ben Bila Hana, Parashat Sheva Bekarov Mamash. We have a whole long list. I want everybody to please take a chance, whoever can. Mordechai. somebody.
Oh, wait, but the tefillin.
Okay, but this is a Zera Shimshon class, not a Orach class.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful class.
They had a strong question, yeah?
יש באמת עניין
Yes, they did. What?
יש באמת עניין בעולם החסידות שלומדים אור החיים בליל שישי.
Oh, so you should where בחר המנוחות. No, יש להם בחר המנוחות every week.
גם בכל בתי כנסיות, גם
In
בכל...
general, they do, the
בכל
Rebbe's, all the Rebbe's do. it.
The whole parasha.
The whole parasha between, that's why they go to the Tish late. The Tish doesn't start until they finish reading Orach Chaim.
Amazing, unbelievable.
Every Shabbos. The Rebbe's don't start their Tish until they finish all of Orach Chaim
Yeah.
on the parsha.
Wow.
Oh, I remember.
גם בליל שישי.
Give me that, Simon, give me that black book.
Comes Friday night.
On top. Yeah, no, on top of all the books.
Wait, how do we get so
No,
into
no.
the Orach Chaim? Is it his your time?
No, I think this one.
So look, Art School came out with Orach
Whoa.
okay?
Wow.
Whoa.
Tony, Art School's rolling. All right, boys, let's go. We're starting. We're on Derush Gimel. Derush Gimel. On Ha Behar. The first one, by the way, so you have to understand, Shovavim, right? He brings the pasuk Shovavim. Shuvu Banim Shovavim. It says, the word Shovavim, I guess put it over here somewhere. Is that it? Or there's more? I'm just asking. Put it over here. I got the hook.
All right.
All right, boys, come on. We got to pay attention. So look, Shovavim, the word Shovavim has two definitions. One means Lashon Teshuvah. Another one is Lashon Reshaim.
So Rabbi is a man, it's the person who's right.
It's the Rasha. But it also means Teshuvah. So he brings a pasuk, Shuvu Banim Shovavim. Milat Shovavim, you can learn it by Teshuvah. What's up, boys? You can learn it as Teshuvah, and you can also learn it as Reshaim. Right? Uvechan lo yitaken, and you can't learn it here in the Lashon of Teshuvah. You can't say, return sons who already made Teshuvah, because it doesn't make sense. They already made Teshuvah. You understand? They already made Teshuvah. So what are you telling them? Return. Right? Shim kevad hem shovavim. If they already made Teshuvah, ma sorech lomar shuvu. What does it have to say? Bring them back for. And if you want to say that they're Reshaim, it's also hard to understand why would they pick a word like this? Just call them shuvu banim Reshaim. Where's chairs? No, we got chairs. There's chairs. No, he wants to be with his son. There's two chairs. Mike, hook him out. Hook him up. Okay, again, we're on Derush Gimel. I need everybody to follow. And give his son. We got water, seltzer. We'll have. Okay, so. Amen. Again, we have a pasuk. Shuvu banim shovavim. Shuvu banim shovavim means return wayward sons. But it could also be read return sons that already made teshuvah, because the word shovavim has two definitions. So the question is, what does it mean? And if it can't mean shovavim, it can't mean the ones that made teshuvah already, because if it did, then why would you say return ones who made teshuvah already? You're trying to bring the ones back who didn't make teshuvah. Tell them they could return. So if they already made teshuvah, what are you telling them? And the second is a pasuk in Yeshaya that tells you that what? They tells you that they could be called, it's another lashon of Reshaim. If it's Reshaim, why are you giving a word that could be used as Reshaim or something else? Just use a word that's more direct. Say Reshaim, return Reshaim. You could still return. You have how many books of Musar, even Gemarot, that say that no matter where you are in life, you could always return. Look, we were on the Memtet, Shad Memtet in Mitzrayim, and we know that Hashem took us out right away, because if any further, then we would never survive. Hashem would never save us. So the fact that Hashem didn't take us out right now, B'yad Hazakah, shows you you're not on the 49th level. So wherever you are now means you can return. You see that? Okay, so that's the question. Why use the word Shovavim? What does the word Shovavim mean? We have a Gemara Gitin. Now this is important to follow, okay? This is important to follow. How do you know that a Nochri could acquire another Nochri? Meaning, you could, back in the day, you could have slaves, right? They had slaves. Living in Israel, how do you know, where do you know that a Nochri could acquire a Nochri? Now, regarding slavery, you should know there's two different levels. There's one is Yadayim, owning his work of hand, and the second one is his goof, children. You understand? So there's the
Goof children.
goof means if he has a child, the child belongs to the owner.
Doesn't goof mean
Goof means body. So everything you do with your body is part of you. You're part of me, no? Yeah. Let me make that very clear.
Might not like it, but it's what it is.
It is what it is, right? So what are you saying? So there's two different parts. So the first question, the first thing in my saying gitin, right? Lamed zayin amud bet. Minayin lenochri shekoneh lenochri lemaaseh yadav. How do you know that a nochri could acquire another nochri with the labor of his hands? Right? So he says the pasuk in Behar, vegam mibenei atoshavim hagarim imachem mehem tiknu. That from the children of the toshav. What's a toshav? A toshav is someone that lives in Israel that's not a Jew, but he lives with us. He lives and follows the rules, but he lives with us. Okay, toshav,
So it's a regular person?
regular, not Jewish, not Jewish living in Israel, not Jew living in Israel.
Shabbos and whatever.
He has rules that he has to follow. He has
Seven no-chai laws.
probably,
Oh,
huh?
it's asleep?
Ma?
מורח.
כמו oreach, right? Toshav. Right, so it says, "Imachem mehem tiknu." From them you can acquire. That's the pasuk in Behar Parasha. So what does the Gemara says? Gemara says, "Atem konim mehem." You can acquire from them, but they cannot acquire from you. You see from here that a nochri can acquire another nochri, but a nochri cannot acquire a Jew. Again, from the wording of the pasuk, it says from them. Let's look in the English version. Let's look at who wants to read me the pasuk. Anybody? No, I want someone to explain the word, the pasuk. Vegami b'nei toshavim hagarim imachem mehem tiknu. What does tiknu mean? To acquire.
What perek is this?
We're on English Art Scroll. We're on page 669. Actually, 670. We turn the page. So it says, the pasuk says, and so from the children of the residents who live with you, right? From them, the pasuk says, from them may you acquire slaves. From them you could acquire. So the Gemara is explaining why does it say from them you can acquire to teach you. Yes, go ahead.
It refers to children of Canaanite women who married a non-Canaanite idolater.
Yeah, okay, fine, but they're still living in Israel. It's a non-Jews living in Israel.
But an idolater specifically.
Of a Canaanite
A
woman.
Canaanite woman who married a non-Canaanite idolater. So it's not a Noachide.
No, it's not a Noach. It's not a Noach. It's not a Noach. It's a Geret Toshav. What we're learning, the question is, how do you know that a Nochri could acquire a Nochri regarding Masei Adav? Because you have a pasuk in Vayikra. I'm sorry, in Behad. This pasuk that we just said. Gami b'nei atoshavim hagarim imachem mehem tiknu. That from the living with the strangers that are living with you, from them you could acquire. From them you could acquire. Atem, from them you could acquire. Velohem konim mikem, but they cannot acquire from you, which means they cannot purchase a Jewish slave. Okay? Velohem konim zelazeh, and they're not allowed to acquire each other. Legufo. Remember I said at the beginning, there's two ways to acquire a. You want to say, like you pay a mortgage, you can pay interest in the beginning, or you can pay principal and interest. So you have Maaseh Yadav and you have Guf. Two different things. Maaseh Yadav means that he's my slave. Whatever I tell him to do, he does. But if he has a child, he has a family outside, it's not mine. I don't touch that. It's not mine. But Guf means that I get the whole thing, the whole package. So I could designate a wife if he's single. I could designate a wife, and all the produce of that junction marriage is union. Thank you. Is mine. That's gufo.
But what happens in the Shemitah?
Non-Jew.
Oh,
Non-Jew. And we're going to get to Shemitah in a minute. But it's important to understand this inyan. This inyan is explaining that how do you know you can acquire the work of their hand? Because of the pasuk in Behad. But the Gemara continues to explain Masei Adav, yes. Gufo lo. Nochri cannot acquire another Nochri. Gufo. Gufo, remember, is children. Anything that they produce would be yours. So he says, Yachol lot yiknu ze et ze lemasei adav. Maybe you would have think that you cannot acquire for the lesser level of Masei Adav, because you would have said a Kal Vachomer. You would have said Nochri Israel Koneh. A Nochri, a non-Jew, lives in Israel, right? A Jew could acquire. Nochri ben Nochri lo kol sheken, a Nochri taking another Nochri.
It's hard to understand this, Kol Sheken.
Meaning, it's because it's a, what's it called? It's a, so I have it over here. So the Gemara continues and says, you might think that likewise, you might be able to, you can't acquire somebody for their labor, but to counter this, you should say, you have a kal v'chomer. If a goy could acquire a Jewish person for his labor, because we said begufo is asud, but masei adav he can. If you owe, by the way, if somebody owes money to a goy, you could work it off. So the nochri can hire you or acquire you for the $1,000 to pay off your debt. You understand? Goof no. So the kal v'chomer is just like a nochri can acquire a Jewish person for his labor. A nochri to a nochri, for sure if you could acquire a Jew for his labor, then a nochri for sure you could acquire for his labor.
Yeah, but the culture can't go opposite here.
The nochri is going on labor. The Torah clearly validates the goy's purchase of a Jewish person as a servant, at least specifically for his handiwork. So it's only logical that the goy could likewise purchase the handiwork of a fellow goy.
If the goy could buy a Jew for his masei adav,
For sure, he could
the
buy a
Jew
Jew.
is
For sure
a
he
very
could
high
do-
thing.
For sure, Koshika, you can do a goy. That's the inyan. Okay? So it's easier to purchase a goy than it is to purchase a Jew. Because it's easier to purchase a goy than it is to purchase a Yehud, a Jew. Now, continuing. Good. Okay. The Ema Hane Mile Bekaspa. But maybe this is talking about a purchase. Oh. So the Ema, so this is what is this talking about? You might say that this is really talking about what are you talking about? Purchasing by money. How do you acquire something?
Why?
Or
You inherited.
by force, hazakah, war, spoils. There's two different ways. So you might say with a purchase you could do that, but by hazakah, no. Rav Papa comes and says he has a proof. Ammon and Moab, Sihon we were not allowed to touch. Sihon we were not allowed to. No, I'm sorry. Ammon and Moab we weren't allowed to touch. Right. Sihon went to war with Ammon and Moab, conquered Ammon and Moab, which in turn allowed us to go after Sihon, which now is also Ammon and Moab. But Ammon and Moab we were not allowed to touch.
Why?
They
look.
Okay.
You're not allowed to touch them. So
You're not allowed to touch them because they're.
you're not allowed to fight with them. You're not allowed to kill them. But you are allowed to torment them, by the way. You know that? You're allowed to torment them. You know that?
Part of the promise from Abraham is that Lord's children will not get it.
Will not get, yeah, right.
So
But you are allowed to torment them. So that's why, when they went to go fight Moab, they would all line up and start with their shields and whatever just to get them scared, but they couldn't do anything. That was it.
excuse my ignorance, but even if Zichon went into Ammon and Moab and took over the land, they're still Moabites. They're still Ammonites.
But they're under Sihon
But how-
jurisdiction.
But that doesn't make a difference.
Yeah,
Their
it
DNA
does.
is still Moab and
It's
Ammon.
not relevant. They were owned now. They take ownership.
It's like that, what's it called?
Their
It's like the
ownership.
Dr.
There's
Seuss
ownership.
Okay, so then you're telling.
With the sneeches. The sneeches on beaches,
Sorry.
the star
Yeah,
beaches.
yeah.
So if
Once
somebody,
they're all
if
mixed
we
in
were
together,
in,
you don't
when
know
we were
what's
taken over and we were exiled to Babylon, we were purified. We're not Jews anymore.
Them on theirs.
What?
Yeah.
Same
It's
idea.
still Moab, but they don't have their own land anymore. They
They
don't have their own land. They're not their own identity.
Yeah, so then they're mixed up. You don't know who's who. So
They're not their own. He has a good point, but I'm telling you that's the fact. The fact is that
But
when
then the same
Sihon,
thing happened when we were dispersed by the
Oh, but the
Assyrians.
Jews didn't marry. That's why we're Jews, because we didn't marry into them.
Sorry, when we were dispersed by the Assyrians,
Yeah.
okay, around the world, we lost our identity. We were interspersed with all of these other nations.
No, we never lost it, otherwise we wouldn't be sitting here.
okay. So bottom line is Sihon.
Where you
What? Because-
Oh, that's what you're referring to.
אנחנו שמרו על תורה מצוות. So that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. That Sihon and Og, right? So you have what do you have here? You have Ammon, Moab, and Sihon.
Yeah.
Sihon takes over. Okay. Moab. By the way, we know all the people that are around. They come and they go. The Greeks today are not the same Greeks as before.
גם מדיין היה.
Midian also. They come and they go. Why? They get taken over. They still have lineage. They still have people offspring of them generate, but they're not associated with them. The bottom line is that once Yichon came and beat them in war, they were no longer they're not on their own anymore.
They didn't maintain their identities.
Right. Whether they did or they didn't, it gave us the okay. Because what are you going to say? I could go attack Sihon, but only these parts, but not that part. Once Sihon takes over the land of Moab, they took over the land. It's theirs.
It's all mixed up already.
What do you want? I can't touch you. But don't touch me, but I can touch you. No, it doesn't work that way. It's a war's a war. Okay, fine. So now we learned the proof that you could acquire Nochri could acquire another Nochri behazakah with war. Now what about a Nochri and a Jew? How do we know? Nochri to a Jew, take him by hazakah. How do we know this? We have a pasuk, Vayish mimenu shevi.
Well, we've seen it in history.
Why?
Because look at the Holocaust.
What does that mean? What does that have to do?
It means that they took us over and they made us not only our slaves, but they slaughtered us. So a non-Jew can, by force, take over a Jew.
Not that can they physically do it? Could they legally do it?
Like
War crimes.
Upper level legal.
War crimes.
Halacha is in place, and this is the halacha in the land, and the Jewish
Yeah, but
sovereignty.
the halacha doesn't
Nobody has
apply to
certain-
them. What do they
nobody has
get?
We're
certain
talking right,
halacha.
certain. You live in a Jewish country that runs itself by the Torah. There are so a nochri could acquire a nochri with two ways, right? By Masei Adav, and we learned behazakah. We learned also that a nochri could take over a Jew, but we know he can take over a Jew beyadav when he owes him money. How do we know he can take him over by Chazak? Shevi. What does Shevi mean? Captive. When a Canaani, right? Vayesh b'menu Shevi. It says in the Canaani captured a captive from the Jewish people. So it's saying that when it happens, he's explaining that we have to go and do pidyon shivuim. We have to go do pidyon shivuim.
It's our responsibility.
It's our responsibility, which means that the nochri has the ability to do so. We could derive from what's presented in our parasha, right? The Canaani captured a captive from the Jewish people. The Torah calls the Bnei Israel, calls the Jewish victim a captive, implying that such an acquisition is valid. You understand that it's possible. This is the Gemara and Gitin. So should we review it? Again, Ari, I'm not gonna bust your chops. It's fine. Just come and chill. So we have a Gemara. We have a pasuk in Yirmiyah that says "Shuvu banim shovavim," right? Return, O weary sons. Right? Question is, what does the word shovavim mean, and why was it used? The word shovavim has two meanings, which I know your father already told you. First one means teshuvah. Second one means reshaim. And there's a pasuk in Yeshaya that it explains, calls shovavim, as the waywards, as the reshaim. If you're going to say that shovavim is referring to a person that's making teshuvah, then the pasuk is not necessary. Why do you need to tell me? Why do you need to tell me to make teshuvah for? Return in order to make teshuvah. Welcome. You understand? What do I need that for? You already returned. You don't say because you already made teshuvah. Amen. You already made teshuvah. If you talk about reshaim, why are you using the word shovavim? Just use the word reshaim. What's so hard? Why are you using the word shovavim? If that's double meaning. If you're talking about the reshaim, why are you bouncing? Why are you using a word that doesn't mean just reshaim? It means more than one thing. There's a reason why he's using the word shovavim. In order to understand why, you have to go to Gemara and Gitin. The Gemara and Gitin says, how do you know a nochri is able to acquire a nochri b'maaseh yadav? And he brings a pasuk in the Gemara, "V'gam ibnei Yisrael toshavim agirim imachem mikem tiknu." From them you could acquire, which means you could acquire from them, but they cannot acquire you. Okay, which means that they cannot acquire you, but they can acquire themselves, but they can't acquire you. You understand? It says, "Atem konim," you could acquire from them, but they cannot acquire from you.
Your work is that kind of, like you can work for a crystal
Right.
company.
And what is it talking about? Gufo. Talking about body, physical body. And why is it talking about body? Because you might think that Masei Adav you can't use. Why? Because you will learn it as a Kal Vahomed. Just like a Nochri cannot acquire, just like a Yisrael could acquire Nochri, a Goy, then Kal Vahomed or Nochri could acquire Nochri. Good or no?
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of.
Just because.
Just because, let's read inside. It's a little complicated, but it's a point.
You can get a non-Yisrael.
I just spaced out all the Jew thing.
If a Jewish person can work for a Christian company.
Yeah.
Just say Goy. Say Goy. Yeah.
And of course, then a non-Jewish person could also work for the same company.
The Goyim cannot acquire slaves from you. They cannot acquire a Jewish person.
We're talking about slaves here, not necessarily employers, right?
No, slaves, not employees.
No, but you still have your own, like you have some level.
So there's two different things. There's Masei Adav and there's Guf.
Right.
So look, the Goyim cannot acquire a Jewish slave.
Why? It seems like you're saying they could.
1 second. Nor they can acquire each other as slaves. And what's this talking about? It's talking about Gufo. Okay, Gufo. And the Gemara clarifies it with what? Well, again, it was Gufo. That what? That because you might think that they cannot acquire one another from their labor, but you have a Kal Vahomed that says the Nochri, right, could acquire a Jewish person for his labor. So if a Goy could acquire a Jewish person for his labor, then Kal Vahomed, a Goy could acquire another Goy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So far, okay, good. So again, you know right now,
Right over here.
this is heavy goods. This is big boy stuff. We got it, but we go slow. I'm telling you, man, I'm sweating bullets here.
So the guy might listen, by the way.
What?
They have the guy might listen right now.
All right.
Watch out for brown jackets.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That is not. That's offensive. So now you might say that this all works well with money. Why? Because you just said a Goy can acquire a Jew. I mean, when it comes to his handiwork, why? Because if he owes money, you can't pay him. You okay? I'll work it off. You ever heard that? I don't have the money. We'll work in the kitchen, right? Can't pay for the meal. Work in the kitchen, right? So, but what about Hazakah? We say, what about Hazakah without payment, which is war? So Rav Papa comes and it gives you an example that it can be done. How we learned through Ammon and Moab that generally we're not allowed to touch them before. Now we are because of Sihon. Sihon came and beat Ammon and Moab, which in turn allowed us to go after all of Sihon, which also had parts of Sihon was also Moab and Ammon and Moab. That's what we're up to.
Which means that one Goyish nation can subsume another one.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They can do whatever they want for each other, right?
Just leave us alone. We bruise like a peach.
That's the cloud, right?
What?
That's the premise. Going to do whatever they want with each other.
Right, I guess.
We're talking about the rights of the Jews to the state of Israel.
No state of Israel. What state of Israel?
We're talking about.
If we are ruling Israel, then yes, they are ger toshav. A ger toshav is someone that's living among you.
Right. Like
peacefully.
Right.
Not some guys over there that are trying to take over. Our neighbors over there, 5 minutes away, by the way.
This is 250, this is 200.
But it's bringing the Gemara and Gitin. This is 2,000 years old.
Right.
Don't matter.
When we had jurisdiction or just law.
Either way, whether we did have jurisdiction,
Right.
we did lose it in the middle. But either way, that's the halakha. Whether we have it or don't,
Right.
that is the halakha. So it is what it is. So now the question: how do you know that a goy could acquire a Jew through hazakah? The Gemara is saying that you have an obligation. We're going to say it after, but a goy could take over. The pasuk hints to it when it says that when a nochri acquires, when a goy acquires a captive, and he calls, and the pasuk calls us a captive. Right. So it shows that a goy could actually acquire a Jew through war. Not goof. Very nice. That's the big difference. They cannot buy us as goof.
He's always redeemable. The Jew is always redeemable.
Why? It
Yes.
said, "Vayeshev Yeshim Mimenu Shebi."
By hazakah, not by owning money gufo. They can't buy us and own us forever.
What are the practical applications of the halakha? Who's enforcing it? You can tell the.
When you had the Sanhedrin.
No,
Sanhedrin had
push halacha on a goy.
the Sanhedrin had the police. The Sanhedrin had the army.
That's so gangster.
Yeah, but you're just saying, but you just said that he's acquiring it through war or whatever. The Sanhedrin and whoever else has nothing to do with it.
Let's see inside. Let's see inside. No
They're
cheating.
not gonna jailbreak him, like.
No
you're
cheating.
free, but you're, like, you can't, you have to stay, but your kids are free.
I'm trying to get there. It's
I understand.
You're on you're getting good.
The
You're
guy
getting
takes
warmer.
it.
You're getting warmer.
Charles, the guy takes over Bechoska, Vayeshev Shebi. He conquers the land. You tell him, no, you don't know my goal.
Rega, stane shoye. Let me get there.
You just know my.
Let me get there. Wait. I'll tell you the nafkamina. And give me 10 minutes. I'll tell you the nafkamina. We know that the Yetzer Hara is also called a nochri. Oh, where'd that come from? We also know the Yetzer Hara, the Satan himself, is called a nochri. Share, we have a pasuk in Tehillim. Lo ye becha el zar, velo tishtahave le'el nechad. And it says in the Gemara in Shabbat, Kov Hey Amud Bet, Rabbi Abin comes and says, who's a zar? Ve'ezeu el zar shehu begufo shel adam. Who is the zar that's inside the goof of Adam? Yetzer Hara.
There it is.
Yetzer Hara. The pasuk says, Lo ye becha el zar will not be in you. You will not be in you an el zar, a foreign god. And you will not bow down to a el nechad, a foreign god. And the Gemara says, who is this foreign god, the foreign ruler that's inside you? Lo ye becha, they will not be within you. Within you, physically within you. Who's that? Rabbi Abin, the Gemara says, Yetzer Hara. This pasuk is talking about the Yetzer Hara, therefore you know it's nochri.
That's a big claim.
No, what do you mean it's a big claim?
And
The
that's
Zera
a 10, that's a
Shimshon.
big 10. That's a big violation.
I don't understand. What is to have it? Le'el nechad.
Yetzer Hara is like a common thing that people struggle with.
You sure? Yeah, I need some salsa.
Let me get the
Yeah.
definition over here.
Go ahead, yeah. I'm saying again. Yoni.
The Yetzer Hara is a thing that most people, except for the Tzaddik are really.
Everybody suffers from the Yetzer Hara.
That's all right. To say that it's a foreign god puts it as like the number one thing.
El Nechad is not, no, is a foreign ruler. Let's see what it says. Foreign ruler it does not mean, what's it called?
You can't even say it. God, it's one.
Yeah, the whole point
Well,
of Hashem Echad.
truth is, it really translates here as a God here. But you're not bowing down, fine, but you're not bowing down in different. Because you have to realize that Avodah Zarah back in the day, first of all, was B'Feheres, yeah, number one. Two is that Avodah Zarah had power from the Sitra Hara. It worked. It physically worked. I needed something. I needed a deal in business. I need this. I bowed down to a cow, rubbed my belly 5 times. I don't know what. Whatever it was. And it worked. So that, of course it worked. Otherwise, where's the desire to do it?
So where's the desire to do it when people are doing it now? In front of giant golden Buddha statues.
There's only that's it, by the
Most of
way.
it's commercial.
It's only Buddha. And
No,
it's all
most
the
of it's
same.
commercial now. It's all business.
It's all business.
So once it's
Well,
business, it's
Buddha's
possible.
pretty cool, man. That's not the same thing.
It's commercialized.
I didn't know it actually worked. I didn't know that it actually worked.
Back in the day, that's why Ezra Sofer and his Sanhedrin in Masechet Yomah
Yeah.
abolished the Yetzer Hara
First they abolished
for
the-
Avodah Zarah.
They did one first, but it was
One
too
second. First one was Avodah Zarah.
But then what happened?
Then they said beauty. They fasted 3 days. It was the whole thing. So all right, let's do it for
They
Zerut.
lost in view, no?
1 second. No.
Political correctness.
No. There you go. My boy in the back. Not a fresh egg. They could not find a fresh egg in all of Israel for 3 days.
Oh, when they got
Because if you take the Zerut to people, you're taking away the desire for the animals too. And there's no reason for them to be together. So you can't, no eggs. So they prayed.
To bring it back.
No, they prayed, just no, to separate it. They prayed, just do the Zerut for us. Give us half. They are petek. There's 2 times a petek ever came down from Shemayim. One is Baruch Shamar.
No way.
Yes way. Baruch Shamar. Baruch Shamar ve'haya olam. It says in the Gemara, petek came down from Shemayim. The second time was to Ezra Sofer in the Beit HaMikdash telling him, no. It's
No,
all
what?
or none.
No what? No what?
No, we can't do half, you can't do half.
You can't get half.
No, they took some of
when
it
they
away.
abolished the idolatry, like, so that Yitzhar for it, a baby.
Yes,
alive
oh, yes, yes,
made out of fire
yes.
ran out of the
So that's what
cave.
we talk about Nevuah,
And
correct.
they lost the view.
Yes, correct. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that whole thing. Yes, 100%. Why? Because it comes from the same source. The desire of Yitzhar, of Avodah Zarah. What is Avodah is a good word. Zarah is foreign. So you have Avodat Hashem and you have Avodat Zarah. So, but it comes from the same source, same pillar of fire. Passion is a good thing, but it also be a very, very bad thing. It all how you want to navigate. How do you want to? Which way you want to take it? Guns can be used to kill.
Fire could keep you warm, or it could burn down the whole.
Right. Good. Fire could keep you warm,
Or the food one.
or it could kill a person. It could burn down a house. Knife. Shahita will kill somebody. Do this all day long, by the way. But the purpose is to show you. So now the second one they did.
Water could quench this thirst.
God forbid it. Also, whatever. Right. God forbid. So again, okay, we got to keep moving. So again, what's the inyan here? The inyan. So Ezra Sofer tried. So the Peter came down and said, no, it's all or none. So he was able to abolish the desire for the seven close family members. No desire for that. Yeah, that's right. It's nasty.
That's it.
I hope so. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about members of his family.
No, general family. You have no desire for your seven members of the family. Okay, you're all disgusted, but you know, if I tell you bow down to a cow, you have a similar situation.
Also, the ox wasn't supposed to be an ox; it was supposed to be a full-on bull.
The egil that came out was not supposed to be.
That
It
was
was
like
supposed to be a
kind
pod.
of a
Yes,
bushah.
yes, that's another derasha. Very good. You are learning every day. Okay, so we're moving on. So now, just like the Nochri acquires Yisrael b'masei adav, so the Yetzer Hara does the same thing. The Yetzer Hara, that's also called a Nochri. We just proved it through a pasuk in Tehillim. Konei Yisrael b'masei adav, ben bekesef, ben behazaka. How? Kesef kol ta'avot ha'olam hazeh. You'll pay for it. People will steal. By the way, it says in Mesirai Sharim. Okay, there's the three strongest Yetzaras that we have is Znut, Gezel, and there's another one. I forgot. It's
Tavat Achila, Tavat
Nashim, Taibet, Mama.
and
no, but he says I forgot the context. But he saes that Gezel is stronger than Znut.
What's Gezel?
Gezel stealing.
Tavat
Tavat Mamon, the desire for money is stronger than the Tavat of Znut. And it proves it.
Shavuot doesn't attack in Taibet, Mama.
You know how?
No.
Because if I steal money right now and I get away with it, I'm ready to do it again the next second. You understand? Znut, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, now, whatever it is, I have more time. That's all that you get. You understand? It's an amazing concept. Both are driven by the Yetzer Hara. Both are driven by the Yetzer Hara. But when you steal money, you're ready to do it right away. It's a scary thing. So that's kesef, right? Kol ta'avat ha'olam hazeh. What's hazakah? Hazakah, we talked about what? Forcefully. Kevan she'avar adam avera v'shana ba. Now a guy does an avera that the Yetzer Hara got him to do. And the guy returns and does it again. It says in the Gemara Yoma, Hutera lo, it becomes mutad. The first time someone does something wrong, you feel very guilt. You want to dig your own grave. You do it again, I'll dig it 5 feet, not 6 feet. Michael. Man, 3 feet. By the third, fourth time, you're like, whatever. It's not, everybody does it.
Desensitized.
You become desensitized. And that's the hazakah, the Yetzer Hara. The more you do something on purpose, once you do it once, it's bad. You do it twice, it's no good. And that's what the Gemara says, Berachot, Samech Aleph Amud Bet, Reshaim, Yitzran, Shotfan, they're ruled by their Yetzer. The Reshaim are ruled by their Yetzer that establish a hazakah, the Gemara says. Remember, we're talking about hazakah. Has a hazakah to sin. They all have a hazakah to sin. Why? Because they're allowing themselves to be ruled by the Yetzer Hara. This whole pool of Gitin, of understanding the Nochri, right? Or the Kinyan, this and that, it's all to get you to what? To understand that the Nochri is also the Yetzer Hara. And there's two ways a Nochri can acquire you. Kesef and Hazakah. Kesef is by going through the Ta'avot. Let me do what I want. The Zera Shimshon says, examine your midot like you're buying a shirt. Like buying a shirt, you're stretching it. You should see me trying on clothes, by the way. You'd have a ball. You'd have a ball, okay? Oh my gosh, no, you guys you'll never look at me the same. Now imagine I looked at my midot the same way. That's what Zera Shimshon is saying. Is it see-through? Is it not? This, is it stretchy? Is it what? 100 different things. The collar stays, there's all, I can keep going, by the way, okay? The whole dry clean, by the way, when you buy a shirt, it's all great at the beginning. What about second, third time you wear it? Doesn't look so great.
So that's part.
Yeah.
Dry clean an article clothing about 15 years.
Don't get me started. So now we're showing you that what? So the Messiah was saying they should do the same thing with that, right? But the Yetzer Hara is working, and the Yetzer Hara, Ari, has two ways to acquire you. One way, you follow your Ta'avot, and right. And the second way, that's the second way. He gets you to repeat it because you don't feel as bad anymore. You know, if you feel bad when you're doing Avirah,
Also, feeling down in the dumps, he wants to keep you there, and then once you're there, you're like, oh, I screwed up so much already.
he wants you to be
Okay,
that
I'll do
way.
it
He
again.
wants you to be that way.
Exactly.
He really wants you to be that way
Like, so
because you
used to
never.
make a-
You know, I'm going to tell you something. I'll tell you a personal story. Okay, I went through a very hard time in my business a long time ago. Okay, maybe 10 years ago, and I remember going. I'll even say his name because he helped me a lot. His name's Ike Towel. Okay? Brother Ike. He tells me, he goes, this is not going to be the last time you lose money. There's not going to be the last time that you're going to have a hard time in business. All right, whatever. But you're going to get through it. If he didn't tell that to me, I would have been stuck in the dumps. And I would have stayed there. And if you stay there, you're never going to get out because you don't want to get out of bed. You're just like, whatever, the whole world's done. But it's so fake. And it's all the Yetzer Hara.
You don't get out of bed, it's even worse.
Yeah, it's even worse because you put the tefillin on. No zechut. We live off our zechuyot.
Do you do Rabbeinu Tam?
Bezat Hashem soon. Bezat Hashem soon.
Is that like a...
Why are you asking me that?
By the way, if someone does.
I learned the halach. I just finished learning the halachot.
I just learned from
Yeah,
like,
good yourself.
I learned from a guddle yesterday, if anyone here does do that, like, you're better off not to use them if you're gonna not keep on your Rashi until after the last Kaddish, and then you should do it.
There's a different opinions of what to wear.
We always them two at the same time.
Yeah, there's different opinions regarding. I understand something. Your way is the only right way. Your way is the only right way. My way is the only right way. Can't be. We're all right. Can't be. Cannot be. Then take the Gemara and put in Genizah. What are you talking about? What do you?
Too much.
No, it's not. If you don't respect each other's opinions, then the Gemara. What is the Gemara? I'm sorry. Gemara is Kodesh Kodashim, and all the what's it called? No, because the Gemara would want me to say that. The Gemara would want 100%. If you're gonna have
I agree.
the Tanaim respected each other. We have Sefirat Omer, we have the 24,000 because they didn't respect each other.
It's interesting because Bnei Yissaschar says Rabbeinu Tam is Sugul during the Chodesh Aviyah. Bnei Yissaschar, because it's a Sirif Abaya of the way they organize the pashas.
Do you know the difference between Rabbeinu Tam and Rashi? What is
I know.
Rashi is this and.
Are you?
I'm a first time.
So let's hear from. I don't want to. Don't cheat. I want to hear somebody. What is? Tell me.
And then it changes at the end. It becomes Ba'im Shema Shema.
You have Vaydaber.
Yeah, Kadesh Ba'im Kiviyah.
by the bed, then Baya, because they want the what's supposed in the middle, the haze in the
And
middle.
instead of the Shema being the last parsha,
You have Vayam Shema
Vayam
first.
Shema first.
Very good.
And that's the Seder of the Shema Vay as well. Yud Kei Vav Kei, or
So-
Yud Kei Vav.
That way, that one's
And this
still, take the
Onis
other
is
one,
Yud
take
Kei
from the
Kei
other one.
Vav, but it's also
I take that one, but then cover it, because that's for the second shift. We have a kollel coming at 12. But it's okay, take, it's okay. All right, I'm trying, I'm juggling here. Okay, again, so again, how does the Nochri, who's the Yetzer Hara, acquire you? It acquires you in two ways, right? One is Kesef, one's Hazakah. And the Reshaim, that the Yetzes are ruled by them, right? They're Mehuzakim to sin. But the Nochri cannot acquire the Rasha begufo, only Masei Yadav. She'adam al korcho sarich litet din v'hashvon divrei melech me'achem elchim al Baruch Hu. Because after 120, you do not answer to the Yetzer Hara. You answer to Borei Olam. You understand? We said before, how does a Nochri acquire a Jew? It could acquire through Hazakah or Kesef. Right? Masei Yadav, through your labor, or through your body, which means it owns you and everything that comes after you. It can never acquire, Nochri can never acquire your lineage. It can never acquire your lineage.
You can't say, the Yetzer Hara got me. I'm punctured. You can't tell some the Yetzer Hara got me.
Exactly.
He's only like a captor.
No, a captive.
Oh, the Yetzer Hara. Oh, only like a captor.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what he's saying. You understand? This is what the pasuk says in our parasha. Ki avadaihem, you're mine. You are mine. Lo yimachru mimkeret eved. You will not be sold as a slave. Shakadosh Baruch Hu eno rotzeh shanochri yikre yiseh begufo. Sharei abdohu. Right? Hashem is not willing to sell a Yehud to a goy because he owns us.
Deep, man.
Yeah, deep. Sharei abdohu ve'av yetz, even the Yetzer Hara. Eno ela kemo shabai. He's only a captor, right? Because the pasuk says, "Vayesh mimenu shevi." You understand?
Can't own you.
He's the goy can never own you. You know, even why they were the
Basically,
Syrians.
saying is we're slaves to only one thing.
We're slaves to God. Begufo. You want to say you're taken captive by the Yetzer Hara because you're going through a hard time, whatever? Then no problem. You're a captive. But you're still not owned. That's the difference between Moab and Sichon and us. Sichon and Moab, Ammon and Moab and Moab, Ammon and Moab got captured by Sichon. They got gobbled up. They became them. They're Gufo. We will never be. Gufo is your lineage.
When did Zichon capture?
They had a
Moab
war.
and Ammon? When?
Bamidbar-ish, that area.
Bamidbar-ish?
Bamidbar
Okay, so then, I have an issue with that, only because if they were interspersed and you can't tell who's on Moab and they were captured, how do we get to?
You know, you asked a lot of questions tonight.
No, I mean, if that happened Bamidbar, then how do we get the
when did
lineage of
Sihon happen?
Mashiach?
No, it isn't Bamidbar.
David
No, but first of all, Moab doesn't mean just because they got gobbled up by Sichon doesn't mean that someone says, "Oh, I'm from the lineage of Moab." You could always say, "I'm from the lineage of I'm from Poland." But doesn't mean I'm actually from Poland. My family's from Poland.
No, but but Mashiach has
No, the
a
lineage.
distinct lineage.
The lineage
from
was
Moab.
what I'm using lineage for lack of a better term, because the whole cause of a goof means that the children belong to the owner, but the children do not belong. But Hashem is saying, your children belong to me. You belong to me. If you are taken, you're considered a captive. You're not considered one of them just because they got you. That's the inyan. That's the concept.
Which means that the onus on the people to get the other person back.
1,000,000%, and don't cheat. 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. That's why it says he's a captive. Go get him.
Even for Chazakah.
So he's gonna say not behazakah. And it depends when.
He's a Gandhi.
It depends when. It depends when. So now we can understand. We understand the basis. Now we can talk about. We can understand the midrash. It says shovu banim shovavim, right? Actually, it's not a midrash. How do we get this? This is a pasuk that Zera Shimshon is asking on. Amazing, amazing. So you can understand the pasuk. Shovu banim shovavim. Kilomar, do not think that you are owned by the Yetzer Hara forever. אל תחשבו להיות כנועים ביד יצר הרע, קניין עולם. ולהיות חס ושלום מטומעים בידו, and don't think that you're assimilated by him. Do not think, right, חס ושלום, שזה אינו, it's not true. אלא אתם כמו שבויים, you're like captives. Go through a hard time. Gotta get out of it. No problem. You're gonna have to pay for it, by the way. It ain't free. No problem. But I still get to go home. Any parent, God forbid, has to deal with a troubled teen, any day of the week will accept the teen back. Not to say that there's going to be repercussions and this and that, but the home, you always go back to your mother's home. You could always come back home. You understand?
Like all of the Jews in Teaneck, they go back.
All the Jews where?
Teaneck and Englewood.
I don't want to see Teaneck online, but why Teaneck?
5 towns, the whole gut of Hell's Kitchen. They're all running into Hell's Kitchen. Then running back home, not captive.
I don't get that at all. What are you talking about? I don't understand.
Well, you're saying they're shvuyim, they're captive.
Yeah, so what's the 5 towns in Teaneck have to do with it?
I mean, big cities in general, Jewish communities survive off of big cities, off of non-Jewish, let's just say.
Okay.
Big cities. There's a strong connection, even over here. There are a lot of people over here are able to survive and persist because of the dollar.
100%. You know, I heard a rabbi say, David Daniel Cohen, he said, the reason why American dollar is so strong, because on the dollar bill, you quoted another rabbi, in God we trust.
I got another reason why, because they're a great ally of Israel.
Yeah.
Help Israel.
Let me agree, but it's the day of the week these days. But yeah, I agree with you. So now that's what you can understand the pasuk. To understand, shuvu banim shovavim. Do not think you're assimilated completely by the Yetzer Hara, right? Because you could come back shuvu. You're considered a captive, right? But hoshu. Now listen, it says hoshu na le'atzmechem. Strengthen yourselves. Livdot atzmechem miyad soneh. Redeem yourself from the hand of the enemy. Why? Ki habali taher, a guy that wants to come and get better. Misayein oto. So they help him. You look for a little bit of. By the way, Doc, you tell the people we can't help you unless you want to help yourself, right? Yes or no? And if you help, but if they're willing to accept all the help, you can go like this for them, right? Same thing with Shamayim. We just want the Shamayim says, just open the door a little.
I'm basically a god.
500 people listening to this, and you're gonna come up my whole situation.
God-like.
No, you're not. Yes.
If someone's like an addict, because they say like once an addict, always an addict. Is your addiction for the Sahara?
Always. Nothing, everything. Derech Hashem from the Ramchal explains that everything in this world there's God in it. There's the Shekhinah in it. What is bad? What is evil? The absence. Okay, when you allow the Yetzer Hara to take over, if you didn't have a Yetzer Hara, even if you were taking drugs every day of your life, you'd stop like that, because every time a person does something wrong, that person is allowing the Yetzer Hara to strengthen within himself. And how do you know? Because no, I'm sorry. You're going to tell me your neshama would want to do anything bad?
No, it's not that. It's the physical, application.
Where does that come from?
Where,
give me the fundamentals. Where does it come from?
Somebody didn't receive enough love when they were a kid. They're shooting heroin and they feeling.
How many times? Excuse me. How many times did somebody wrong you in your life and it did not mess you up?
It's not
plenty, right?
I'm here now.
The Yetzer Hara is still working on you even those times in order to mess you up.
It's not the Yetzer Hara anymore.
But the other stuff is just a low-hanging fruit.
Biology.
It's
no longer.
I'm thinking more biological.
Not shown love as a child. It's because you physically need it. Your body needs it. You can stop it. It's just very.
I don't understand where you're going. Say it again.
No, you're talking
about. And what?
Our drugs would do it. The person needs the heroin physically.
That was the wrong example.
Forget physically a minute. You have everything bad that you want to do is coming from Yetzer Hara.
That I completely understand.
So that's it. So the physical, why does the body need it? Because you allowed the Yetzer Hara to be so strong within you to take it.
Yeah, of course.
So why do people go to hypnosis, right, for smoking? Because they want to trick their body that they don't need it. the Yetzirah, if you allow the Yetzirah to get bigger and bigger and bigger, it will do so. It will get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So the physical shock that the body gets because it's not getting its goods is because I allow the Yetzirah to tell me, have it again, take it again, take it again, take it again. That's what happens.
Got your health and wellness.
Got your health and wellness.
Up the street.
Up the street, up the block. Okay, moving on. And we have another thing. We have Pasuk in Iyov that says, Hen kol ele yif'al el pa'amayim shalosh im gaved. All right, what does this Pasuk mean? Hen kol ele yif'al el pa'amayim shalosh im gaved. All right, this is definitely art school goods. Hold on.
Was it Eo speaking or one of his terrible friends?
Behold, Hashem does all these things 2 or 3 times with a man. The Iyov is talking. He says, do all these things. Pa'amayim shalosh im gaved. Does it happen to him? What does that mean? Bekasher mahu yif'al el. What is the intent of the pasuk says Hashem does? Meaning the term yif'al implies an active doing. Yif'al is current. What is it talking about? Right? The Hachamim interpret the phrase Hashem does all these things as a reference to forgiveness. Presumably, the Zera Shimshon is asking why the pasuk refers to forgiveness with a term that denotes an active involvement. Interesting. Not too much. That's too much.
Meaning that the person that's asking for forgiveness is not just the one to forgive, but the one who asks for forgiveness.
It sounds so. Let's see. I think it's gonna explain. Let's see what it. Let's answer the questions, and then we're gonna answer the answer. But you're right. The second question: Lama davka pa'amayim shalosh? Why 2 or 3 times? Right? Because of what it says in Gitin. I'm going back in here. Hold on. Boys, pay attention. But we're going to start again. It says in Gitin and Gemara, "Hamocher atzmo ve'et banav legoy." If you have to sell yourself and your children to a goy to pay off a debt, and podino, you do not sell it. You do not redeem him.
Why not?
Because he should. If you actively put the white flag up and say, "Okay, I'm willing to give up my mitzvot and be," he's not going to let you put the tefillin on. He's not going to let you eat kosher. What do you think this is here? It's not banking hours.
Wait, is this
You gotta do.
Is this the times of the Beit HaMikdash?
Irrelevant. During the time of slavery, if I give myself up and my children to pay off a debt, the Gemara says you don't podeh, you don't redeem him.
He should have sold himself to a Jew. That's the point.
We should. Well, look, Rav Asi says
Together with his children.
Shehuma. So what does it mean? It means that he sold himself repeatedly. Repeatedly, it's what he does. I lend money. All right, boys, family, 6 months from now, I can't pay the bills. Let's go.
There's the addict.
Okay, there you go. Ve'im ken, Rav Asi says ad shalosh until 3 times. Mina shamayim yisadeh livdot atzmo. This is important. It says that up until 3 times a person doesn't sin, Shamayim is going to help you through siyata dishmaya to overcome your stuff. You understand? Chazaka.
If you say chazaka is acquired through war, like is captive, but chazaka is also the power of 3. So you're saying up to
Exactly. 3 times. Mina Shamayim will help you to redeem yourself. Aval, after 3 times, Shamayim is not going to help you. Why? Until you do everything you can to get out of it. Because you can't expect to go to daddy every time you get into trouble.
Is this like an Avera?
Once you dump yourself deep, right?
What they say.
Top deep.
But when your son, if you continue, but that's enabling it. Wow, you're enabling your son that way. If every time he messes up and you keep saying, okay, come here, go take a nap. I'm sure you're tired. You have to have some sort of strength, backbone. If you don't, you're just enabling him.
Well, I was talking about
Hashem still punishes us, even though it's through love, because otherwise he'd be in. That's one of the reasons why the Beit HaMikdash was neharav. Beit Sheni was neharav because there's many opinions. One of the ones is because Teshuvah became too easy. I had a crazy weekend with my friends. Okay, go bring a hatat. $1,000. Yallah, I'm clean again. That's the way. But it became too easy. So because it became too easy, Hashem said, no.
Must have been some good parties.
I gotta get to that. My friend was sitting in shul on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, And the guy next to him is crying. So he goes home to his friend, he tells, he goes, I was thinking in my head, you must have had a pretty crazy year. It's not a funny joke. Not a funny joke. So again,
based on this, are you telling us that if we do more than 3 Averas,
no.
we're a lost
If a
cause?
person does, no, I did not, did I say those words?
Well, no, but
No.
it just.
If you do
you
the
take it
same,
literally.
if a person does the same thing and he repeats it 3 times, Shamayim's gonna help you overcome it. After that, they're gonna take a step back and they're gonna wait for you to wake up and do things on your own. That's the way it is.
Not just the first step of Ishtadlus, but actually climbing
It
up
says
the
here,
ladder.
עד שיעשה כל מאמצי כוחו כדי, I'm sorry, לשוב בתשובה שלמה.
It's not gonna be a picnic, Bekitsu.
It's not gonna be a picnic. And I'm sure all of us here, I can tell you myself, I've done sins more than 3 times. And yeah, it's harder to make the shuvah after the 3rd time. Okay, you know, but you made the shuvah, didn't you? So get over it. Yes or no? So then that's it. Then you did it. But I'm sure it wasn't easy. By the way, it's also when you
I
know.
married my wife who won't let me do more.
But it also, by the way, but it's also a sin that you know is wrong. When you know it's wrong and you know the real meaning. Look, Achal today, Yosef says today, everybody that's Mechalel Shabbat Be'Hersia is still shogeg. Why? Because they don't know what they're doing. If they knew what Shabbat was, they'd never mess it up. They never mess it up. And even though Goyim today, even Goyim say it's an amazing thing, Shabbat. So you understand, you don't know what Mezid is. We don't have it. We're so diluted.
You have to really.
I don't care. I know and I don't care.
You have to be learned and rebel.
Yes, the Rambam says in order to be an Am Haaretz without be Kodesh, you got to be smarter than anybody in this room. You understand? It ain't so easy. All right, now let's move on. Mikol makom lo tetzeh ketzet avadim. Mikol makom. So we're talking about the chizuk. Never. So it's saying, bless you. It's talking about. Remember, we're talking about slavery. You don't never sell your daughter into slavery, no matter how much money you owe.
Even Jewish slavery?
Slavery. General. Shezeh shemacha nishmato. A guy sells his soul, like it says Zohar Kadosh Mishpatim. It says lo tetzeh min haolam neshama hazo ketzet avadim el shel elzad bar minan. Rak sarich livdota usiha leherut. So he's explaining that
He has to do tshuva. The guy has to do tshuva to save his neshama.
What do you mean?
That this guy that fell as a slave.
How do you get that from what I said?
The Yetzirah got him.
How do you get? What are you talking about? We're talking about a guy selling his daughter. What are you bringing the Yetzirah for?
He said.
Say it. Go ahead. Right, which is talking about a girl. Right, it's talking about a daughter. Don't take a daughter. Don't sell your daughter into slavery. Love you. Yeah, go ahead. What? Right. Exactly.
He's not going to be a Elzar, what a Zor guy. He has to do tshuva, this neshama of the Yid.
Right. Zeh shemacha nishmato, the guy that sold his soul. Right, like the Zohar talks about. Lo tetzeh, meaning that the neshama is not going to leave this world. Like an Eved. To what? An Elzar, a foreign god, like we talked about before, Bar Minan. Rather, sarich livdota, you have to redeem his neshama and release and send it into freedom through teshuvah. Through teshuvah, you understand? All these examples are showing you that you have to that you can't wallow in self-pity.
But he's basically saying that all these things, these situations.
That's the answer.
He's saying that all these situations here are not necessarily directly literal meanings of avadim, but rather they're talking about the Yetzirah and our relationship with Neshama.
Right, but not allowing yourself not allowing the Yetzirah to take over you.
Right.
Not allowing the Yetzirah to take over you. And no matter where you are, it's not relevant.
He's also making an analogous claim that being a
Yes.
laborer, and of course a laborer for.
You are a laborer. I'm sorry to interrupt. If your Yetzirah is taking over you, He's
Right.
taking over you by in terms of labor.
Labor, what you do, your actions.
Right.
So he's making that analogy, because obviously if you're.
That's
a
the whole
you can
derasha.
still- You can still be a tzaddik and be a laborer, but he's saying that it's analogous to laboring for a non-Israeli or a non-Jew. Is analogous to being a sinner. That you're drawn forward towards this thing that you have no control over anymore. If you crossed over 3 times.
Because if you allow it to, but don't allow it to take over you.
Right. Meaning
Don't-
get out of slavery, essentially.
Just means the resistance is going to be harder.
For sure. It's very hard to get out of labor.
Slavery,
Yes.
get out, once again, can you
Yeah,
say
go
that
ahead.
once again, how does it say that you get out of slavery?
He's explained the whole concept. The first thing,
How do Abadim?
he's explaining that there's 2 types of avadim. There's an eved by labor, and there's an eved of goof. Eved of labor means whatever my hands produce is yours.
How does it get out? No, it says, "Lot etzek, etzet Abadim."
I'm giving you from the
Meaning
beginning. I'm giving you the beginning.
Okay,
The other type is an eved of a goof, which means you own me. Everything of me, you own me from A to Z. Aleph ad Tav. Okay. What shows Shuvu Banim Shovavim, and what we brought to the Zohar now, and and Iyov, and what we talked about in Yomah, are all about the Yetzer Hara will never own your body, will never own your goof, will never own who you and your family and your lineage is. Will own you by the Maaseh Yadav, what I did wrong, but it will never own my goof. So it's a warning, and it's a give me a better word than it's a warning, and it's a wake up call. Don't allow yourself to stay where you are and just say, "Oh, I'm going to Gehinnom anyway." I hate that. I hate hearing people say it. There's a guy who said it 6 months ago. When was Pesach?
2 months ago.
2 months ago.
A month ago.
36,
like 6
It feels much longer. Feels much longer. But Be'emet, I think about it every day. No, he said, it doesn't matter, I'm going to, what's it called anyway? And it bothers me. Don't ever say that. It's such a stupid comment. It's fake, it's
You know
wrong.
what's very interesting? I was asking about like addiction. So once you're an addict, the only way to basically get over it, like as far as like the program goes, and I haven't been in the program yet, is that you have to go every single day.
What?
So the only way that an addiction program works, which is interesting, is like you have to go to meetings every day. So when you have to go to meetings every day, basically it's kind of like what it's saying, after 3 times, you're an addict, basically, let's call it like that, because it says that, just 3 times, once you do something 3 times, it's a big, like, it's very difficult, right? So how do you get out of it? And what do they do, which is interesting, like, they go in for their meetings, and one of the main things that they say, which is like unbelievable, that like this is,
Works if you're working.
it only, like, you have to bring God into the picture, and that's the only way to get past it.
Oh, they say that.
You have to go it's one of a higher power. The only way, like for AA or all
work,
the other
yeah.
ones, like one of the things is like you have to believe in a higher power.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy. And what you have to do, and the amazing part is not just once a week, not once a month, every day you have to go to share. And that's the only way.
You understand? You have the only way out is Torah.
But it's funny because everyone's talking about like the Mogen Chetz, shield and arrow thing and the whole situation right now. And when I was in yeshiva and the Rosh Yeshivas and Rabbanim Tzaddikim, I remember hearing they said the same thing. That the Torah is the Mogen, is the shield.
So the Gemara says.
Right.
Based on the Torah, but
Torah
they
mitzvot
said it
magen. Right.
relevant like situations right now. Like
Rashi said that yesterday.
המהר"ל אומר שאין
Rashi literally.
רפואה לעצה זה אסור.
Right. Torah Tavlin.
Rashi yesterday.
Torah Tavlin. I need. I hope I have enough cholent for the Kollel guys. Chaim, check it out.
Well, they say stories are Kanesky.
I put a note on one of them that don't touch.
I didn't sell bottom ones, man. I sold like.
I know. Yeah, leave it open.
All right. Maybe add a little water and give it a little stir.
All right, fine, no problem.
Salt and water.
So again, so what are we saying here? We're explaining that that's what it's saying. Saying that you have to realize you cannot assume that the Yetzer is going to take over you forever. There's no
So
such
that's
thing.
when total despair sets in with that mindset.
And then you're done.
And you're done.
And then, but that's the Yetzer
That's
Hara's
how it's
plan.
Major work. Yeah.
However, Im Ra'a B'nei Adonea, Asher Lo Yada Ve'ovda. Now imagine, now the next part, by the way, the pasuk. What are you looking for? Which one?
This one.
Vayikra
is.
Hey.
Chazak, we're about to finish it. Amazing.
Here you go if you want.
You know.
Yes.
Oh no, Mikhail Gedol's right next to you.
This is mine, bring it back to that. I'll give it right back.
Oh, nice. That's the Rashi one. It's a good one. So the pasuk continues. By the way, if she's bad in the eyes of a master who didn't embrace or redeem her from the Yetzer Hara, Kiloma, what does that mean? Nechshevet Ra'a Be'enav. In his eyes, his neshama is considered bad because he already sinned so many times and fell on such a bad level, right? To the point that it seems impossible for the guy to get back up.
Adonai here is Adonai is Hashem.
No, it's the neshama.
Even
Adonai here is talking about your neshama. If you think you're so bad in the eyes of your Adonai that you're not going to be able, it's not talking about God. God's waiting for you.
No, but if she thinks if she thinks that she's bad in the eyes of Hashem, right? She shouldn't give. Right? Don't lo yosif chet lo pesha. Right? Yidavek b'umat lo sok ma'aseh shvil shebagad ba. Mishum she'im livno yadena. I think he's talking about God, but maybe I'm.
It's not. It's talking about the neshama. Well, let's keep going. We'll see.
Well, the master.
No,
I think
Right, because you return, because it's all this dialogue between you and your neshama, your conscience.
You're talking about self-reflection. If a person sees flaws in themselves, it's coming out in the pasuk that you see that your worker, you hate your work, your maidservant. That's
Right,
saying that
right.
it's a reflection of a person internally. Oh, you're making me so anxious, but really you look internally into that, like, why am I so anxious?
He goes through all the psukim just to say how it's back and forth.
Exactly. That's what it's. But it's a crazy thing because it's so natural.
Right.
We're going through these pesukim to show you the back and forth that everybody has.
So if we take it full circle, the maidservant over here that he's soneh, he hates.
No, the maidservant is you.
Is himself.
Soneh is now my masim that made me become a hated person. I'm hated because of my masim.
I hate myself because of my
I'm
masim.
not only a maidservant who's doing everything to keep everything up, but everything I'm doing is treacherous and lecherous.
Right.
And I can't stand myself, but I can't stop myself from being myself.
So look what it says. ונפל בהדיותה התחתונה עד שאין תקומה במפלתו, right? וחושב שבת סברו ותאכלתו. And he thinks that he lost all hope and all aspiration. לעם נוכרי לא ימשול למוכרה בגדו בה, right? That's the
Don't sell
pasuk.
yourself out, even if you go into the pits. Don't say that's it, I'm finished. And
Right.
Yush Bolam, this is En Yush.
And he's exactly very good. And Yush says, Lord, do not add insult to injury. Don't say, you know what, I'm a gambler. Let me just burn the whole thing now. Right. Lo yosif het al pesha, bezadon al resha. Lidabek beumot ve'lasot k'ma'aseim. Do not go and say, I'm going to go join with the goyim now because I messed up. And I did all these bad things. Don't do that, because that's what the Yetz is going to tell you. Just give it all up. Let everything go. You know, it's like someone telling you you owe 100,000. Might as well be 1,000,000. Like, I ain't gonna pay it anyway. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So don't add on. Don't add on, right? And don't say, let me go join the goyim and do what they do because I'm already out. Don't do that. Even though you betrayed your neshama, wherever you are now, doesn't mean the game's over, and doesn't mean you're out. That's what it's saying. It's emet, but you have to act on it.
So own your work is part of it, because he's saying that the godlut of a person, the person's capacity for godlut, is also the ownership through which he works.
No pain, no gain, man. You know it. You're a speaker, for crying out loud. You know, if you don't do the work, you ain't gonna lose the weight,
Right.
and you ain't gonna get toned. It's all about retention. Say code. All right, mishum she'im belibno yi'adena, right? Because the daughter is designated, kemishpata barot yasela. They have to respect her. She'im yatil lashu b'tshuva, because if now this person
If you
starts,
want to give this slave to your son, which is your neshama starting to do tshuva, then your son
You want to give the class?
He's getting excited.
It's good. That's awesome. All
That's why I
right.
come, man. I have to be involved.
Be
Otherwise I can stay
involved.
home.
Be involved.
I
Be
can only
involved.
watch you on YouTube. I want to be here live with you.
I'm very happy with you here. Don't worry.
Milchama shel Torah.
שאם יתחיל לשוב בתשובה, the guy starts doing תשובה, אפשר שיהיה לו בן עסק בתורה. You might have a son that's going to be focused on Torah. And the son is going to be is mizakeh the father. It says in the Gemara Sanhedrin, there's people that have no shayachut to Yiddishkeit whatsoever, but they put their sons in yeshiva, and the sons become something. And if their sons become something, because that the father put the son, then it makes a big difference.
But then the son's chut will even help you go up even more.
Up, even higher. And that's the pasuk in Mishleh that says, Gil Yagil Avi Sadiq. Rejoice. Gil means to rejoice. Gil Yagil Avi Sadiq. My father Sadiq, meaning what? Shelot Yeh Od Kemo Ama Rak Kemo Bat. I'm not going to be like a maid servant to the Yetzir, rather like a daughter. Remember, the maid servant is despised. The daughter is the daughter. We love our daughters.
And the daughter could also change, because it says Lo Ti'od Ama Kamo Ama.
Because the Amma is when the Yetzirah is getting you. When you're getting out, you're the bat.
You become the bat.
When your neshama starts coming to the right way, you're the bat melet.
Exactly. So the next part of the pasuk, Im aheret ikahlo, Im yashuv. This is talking about the neshama. The Im yashuv b'tshuva shelema. If your person comes back, and we've seen it happen. I've seen it twice in my life. I've seen twice in my life where I've seen people make the shuvah that I never. I just assumed they're tafel, gone. I'm not talking about they want drugs, nothing like that. Nothing like straight shooters.
You know who else thought that?
Who?
Eliyahu Hanavi.
No, Eliyahu said that they're not even doing Brit Milah.
But I heard that's why he comes.
So Hashem said, you're gonna show. You're gonna testify that every Jew. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Well, in people
Right.
in general. I mean, there was a guy I was working with back in New York, not Jewish, and he was working for an accounting firm, and he obviously felt like he was selling his soul to the devil for working for the man his whole life. And within a few months of working for the company, he announced to the group that he's going back to the fire. He's working on the fire force. He's going to go
Firefighter?
He's a firefighter. He's going to start doing some real things in life. And I think
That's an insult to everyone else in the room that didn't leave.
Someone told me.
We're staying.
you could do a lot more in the financial district, you know, but you know, certain things touch a person's soul more.
Yeah, you
Selling your
gotta do
soul,
it.
you know.
But how is that relevant to this?
Well, because you can't be the despised daughter. You can't be.
You
the
can't
despised
stay in
nature.
finance if you hate finance.
Right, you have to be true to yourself.
Oh, with the fight the fires, the Yetzirah.
Since that was not
You
connected.
understand?
Since that was not connected at all.
You'll throw one in?
Yeah, this is beautiful. Some very wealthy guy was telling me that he met this policeman, and like he works his job, and then besides that he does this other thing. And what's he do? So for the other thing, what is it? It's volunteer. Why? Because he said, because my police job, which doesn't pay a ton of money, I'm sure, gives me, and he's not a Jewish guy, I make enough. I make what I need. So what do I do now? Instead of going and chasing more money, I go and do chesed.
That's very nice.
And this is, you know, and it's
Very
funny.
nice.
My friend who's actually like very holy, learns a ton. He couldn't get it.
That's beautiful. That was off topic. Yes, you were right. What you said. Well, that's good. That's very good. I'm just messing with you. So, if you do teshuvah, if a person does teshuvah, and it's really important because the Yetzirah is going to make you feel guilty on purpose. It's easy. Huh? That's exactly his MO in English. That's his MO.
What do you say?
What does MO stand for?
Modus operandi.
Huh?
Modus operandi.
That's what it stands for?
Yeah.
People in the street use MO. We don't know what that word means. We don't know what that means. I don't know how to spell that.
This is MO, bro.
So now the guy that does make the shuvah, the guy, listen, boys, we're almost done. Now look, the neshama that does make the shuvah, right? Yizaheh letaken al parishona. Do not just focus on your new life. You have to be metaken what you did in the previous life too. You know, people turn 30, 40, they wake up, they do the right thing. You can't forget about what happened in the past. You have to fix the first one. She'era kesuta v'anuta lo tigra. You have obligations to this girl, right? You have food, clothing, right? Ona, you do not diminish. She'era, food, right? Dehainu mezon hanefesh, right? Shehu tamut Torah masim tovim. You make the teshuvah, you want to turn a new leaf, boys. You want to turn a new leaf? Beautiful. The only way around it, you got to feed it. How you feed it the right way? Torah mitzvot.
How come that's going on the old neshama? I don't understand.
No,
You
he's
can't
saying
just forget
don't
about
forget
your
the
old
old neshama.
You can't forget. You want to be a good guy now.
But
Okay.
But I'm saying, why is he saying, I got a new neshama now, my bad part is an old neshama,
No.
and now I have to feed my old
No,
neshama
they
and teach
no.
Torah to the old neshama.
No, what he's saying is,
you
the
produce
new
the
neshama, just
You gotta
because you have a
feed
new
it.
neshama, doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you should all of a sudden say is my old neshama is out the door. Meaning what you do is you take your new stuff and you feed the new one and you correct the old one.
Remember the pasuk says,
You have to- you can't
remember,
just throw out the old one, you have to
you're
take
forgetting
the-
something. We're going in the mantra of the pasuk. The next part of the pasuk is ima heret yikach lo. If he takes another, if he doesn't like this girl that I said I was going to take her, but I'm not going to take it now. I changed this. I'm taking another girl. So that's the new neshama that I like. But even though you still have an obligation to the old girl that you didn't like and you didn't want to be with her.
Who said you're gonna get a neshama when you do tshuva?
What do you mean? What are you talking about? You're B'riyah Hadasha. Where are you? That's 101 about the Shuvah. What do you mean?
Where's the old neshama?
You are B'riyah Hadasha. You have a neshama yetera. You have a new neshama. Fact of life. Where are you? What do you mean? That is like the first thing they tell you in Baal Teshuvah school.
The same neshama.
It's
The
not.
same neshama.
It's not. You have
Till then, I'll go till then. It's the same exact
Oseh
neshama.
Maaseh. Oseh Maaseh v'Reshit. What's the? I said over the Hosh Hamid Maaseh v'Reshit.
But it's the same neshama. You just
It's new.
building them up.
No, you're not. It says in the Gemara. It says in the Gemara in.
All the time. It's constantly new.
I'll tell you where it says. Hold on, because I remember learning it here. It says in the Gemara. Aleph. Hold on. That you teach a person Torah. It's like you made him. Why? Because he's a new person, and you caused that to happen. You are not the same person you were yesterday
It's both.
or 5 years ago.
You're
It is
also-
both.
You're also a new person and you're also the old.
That's
person.
exactly what it's saying. You still have an obligation to your previous lifestyle. You have ona, you have food, you have the clothing.
If you have
What does
midnight-
that
if you have a
mean?
midnight snack every night, then just because you have a.
No, but if he said these are metaphors, what does it mean? Food.
Right.
The food is you still have to learn Talmud Torah Masim Tovim. Clothes kesuta is a levush mitlabesh bo ha'adam. That's the Zohar. The Zohar in Parashat Noach. Parashat Noach besod halukah derabanan. So it basically is explaining. Everyone has. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, but
No, that's the first one. The second
no,
one.
the first one is Talmud Torah Masim Tovim.
Right.
Second one is you have like an odd makif around you. You have a it's called a
The
malbush.
biggest.
A beged. The beged.
Surrounding light.
Yeah, surrounding light. So hold on. So the clothing is a spiritual garment which man clothes himself. Besod halukah derabanan.
No, that's it. You know what you're saying is the clothing is it's keilu, it's like the chalukah derabanan. He's not saying that the clothing of a person, right? He says your ksuta is the lavush that a person wears that's similar to the sod of the chalukah derabanan. He's not saying
Yes. Right. The third one is what?
So onata means that you have to do this consistently. You can't.
Likboa atzmo bikviyut gamur b'derech hatova. You can't be a good guy some of the time. You have to commit to being a good guy all the time. And even with that, there'll be sometimes you win and sometimes you lose.
What was it like? Always,
At least
when you're in rehab.
You will fall.
Or
Right. Exactly.
But
But you're in the game. You're not pausing the game and taking a break.
You never out.
Right.
Once you have a track that you can go to a certain place, you're always recovering.
Why? Why do you have to do that?
Be committed.
Because כדי לתקן את המעוות, because you need to rectify what you messed up.
Always. Once it's there, it's always there.
In order to rectify the corruption of the Avonot. Stop whining. It's fine. It's normal. Is anybody here perfect? Is anybody, was Moshe Rabbeinu Eliyahu Navi, you just said, it's because he questioned
Brother,
today's sale. It's normal.
You know why you're in the dryer cleaning business?
Laundry.
It's a muscle. It's a muscle. What do you do?
I'm not listening to it anymore.
It's a muscle. It's a muscle. You're cleaning towels in American hotels. The Torah here is cleaning our neshama.
But you can't, I can't
This
clean
is
the
a
towels.
muscle. This is your real business.
I can't clean towels some of the time. I have to clean the towels with now. Sometimes the linen gets. I do, but it's just much less.
And that's for me.
Just
Charles.
We're done with the Zera Shimshon now.
Three quick things that I heard.
But
from
then you have to stay for the list.
And I will.
Then no
Yeah,
problem. Go
okay.
ahead.
I have three of them. I may forget two. Okay. Yesterday they said some really powerful things. They said a couple things. They said one.
The best guys.
They said people have to stop coming for brachas for their children. They just have to start acting like mensches so they don't screw up their kids. So they need brachas for their kids.
Amen.
That was one. Okay. Two is.
Worry about yourself. You got kids?
You worry about yourself.
I told you you had one too many. I told you had one too many.
Two is.
No, I'm good.
Two is.
This is just me.
Like, it doesn't matter if you have money or if you don't have money, because that's just straight from Hashem.
Yeah.
What matters is what you do with your money.
Amen. Amen.
I told you I'll probably forget that.
Okay, number
You still gotta stay till the end.
Finish what you're saying. I'll think
Good
of it.
one. That's good stuff. You got.
Yeah, I got. These were from like the some like huge Gedolim. It was beautiful.
All right, good. All right, weiter. Last part of the Zera. The last question that we asked was the second or third. Remember we said Shnaim or Shalosh. Im shelash ela lo yasela. Right? It says Shelo haya lo ben. Let's say the guy does not have a son who's a Talmid Chacham, and he's not zocher, that is neshama, that he's not going to get neshama aheret kedusha. And he's not, let's say, all this is very nice, but it doesn't always happen. Let's say you have a guy who's not connected. He doesn't get a Talmid Chacham as a son, right? And he doesn't, and the kedusha, and he doesn't get a neshama yetera. He doesn't get that, that extra stuff. He doesn't get it. And he doesn't even put himself on the derech hatovah with kaviyut, gamur, in order to get the signs that the adulthood of a person. The adulthood, you have different phases of adulthood. You can't come late and get a whole entourage.
He didn't come late, he came early.
Right, that's true too. That's true. So you understand? So now the guy Hazin did not get a chance to get all these. He didn't commit himself to the good path, right? And because he didn't do that, he's not going to get signs that are going to develop. That he's not going to have any good signs when he leaves this world.
What?
Oh no, now he's getting older.
Yeah.
Sorry. He's getting older. Thank you for that one. He's getting older now. It's you get gray hairs for a reason, to remind you you're getting older. So now it's coming. The Shegiyo Kitzo, and now his predestined end is on his way. Right? Or Shenat Ayovel, Shehu Sof HaOlam. Wow. Wow.
Never heard that.
Okay. Now let's look. This is all nice and dandy if you get the signs. Now, what about a guy that doesn't get it? That didn't get the signs? Meaning he's continuing to keep.
Everybody gets older.
He didn't take it. He didn't
Everybody
take
gets
it.
older, but some people might not just not look at
Oh, he didn't take the signs.
He didn't take the sign. The guy didn't take the sign.
He didn't wake up.
So if he didn't wake up, okay, signs, wake up, whatever you want, whatever metaphor you want to use. He didn't take the bait.
Right.
You understand? The guy's still on his own, but now he's getting older. He doesn't have a son who's going to follow Talmud, like we said before, that the father could gil whatever, right? Gil at the end because of the lineage that he's not. And now he sees his end is coming close. Or it's very interesting what the Zera Shimshon says. Or Shenat HaYovel Shehu Sof HaOlam. Or the year of the Yovel, meaning the end of the world is coming.
Whoa.
And he's in that generation.
Now we're in the Yovel now. Last year was Shemitah.
Sure we are. 100%. And he has nothing else left other than teshuvah in the moment.
if he repents in the last minute, he will at least be able to facilitate his own neshama that he should not receive the fires of Gehinam.
But if he does tshuva, didn't he do the whole thing?
No, the point is that the level of tshuva.
Chinam of
Right, it's the
Gehinam.
level of tshuva, the amount of tshuva that he did. if he
Chinam
did-
midin Gehinam. He's going to be free of charge.
He
He doesn't have to go through
If he
Gehinam.
realizes later on in life that he didn't get a chance to do the
He's
tshuva,
not going to go through
Tshuva
Gehinam.
is
Yes, Konei Olamo Beregah. Exactly. Exactly. Ela shelo yu lo arba me- Oh, by the way, this is creepy.
Right, there's no.
The exception, the
There's no-
difference is there's no. Yeah. The only thing is not there's an inyan in the Zohar that says that you're gonna get 400 worlds in Olam Haba. So the guy that makes the Shva at the end of the end of the end.
Kisufa. How is kisufa in English?
No, it's yearning.
Yes,
yearning.
yes, desired, yearning, yeah, whatever that means.
400.
And that's what it means. V'zeu v'yatzah hinam en kasef. This is the end of the pasuk that she's going to leave free without charge, without any kesef. The word kesef, payment over here, is also can mean desire. Right, desire. So what do you learn? So a few things. Let's summarize because it's a very complicated derasha. It's very complicated, but we went through a few things. The first thing, shuvu banim shuvavim. We wanted to understand why to use the word shuvavim, boys. Why do we use the word Shovavim? To explain that Yetzirah, we connected it with the Nochri, that a Jew, a goof of a Jew can never be acquired from a Nochri. And the Shuvu Banim Shovavim is coming to remind you that you're never going to be acquired by a Goy. No matter who you are, where you are, or how bad things come, you're still a Jew.
Yetzirah could never get you.
Maybe that's why he put the Parshat Tshuva, the Yanei Tshuva here. I never understood why he put it in Yanei Tshuva in the middle of Vayikra. It's not logical. Maybe you put like it says separate. Maybe he puts it here to like explain the Shuvu Banim.
It's a good question.
Yeah, but not Behar. They don't talk about that Behar.
The Yanei Tshuva comes in the middle of Vayikra, just like
randomly. No, in here, Behar, no, no.
Right before. Yeah,
no, because because Emor is talking about Yom Kippur. Emor is talking about Yom Kippur. That's why.
But that was the whole Shemitah would cause a lot of tshuva or needed tshuva because people weren't showing.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons because they were not the 70 years of Babel was 7 Shmitot with a 10 Shmitot. Look, the pasuk says
the whole point of Sefer Vayikra is being close to Hashem.
Right.
Like the Korbanot is being close to Hashem. Tuma and Tara, you want to be pure, you want to be close to Hashem. Even with Shemitah, so like. You're not working. You're free to just like be close to Hashem. So
what's next tomorrow?
Who's coming from me? He says the guy that didn't make it, he didn't do the whole thing. We're leaving a kid at Sadik, and he didn't fix it.
Right, he didn't get it right.
Wait, but he says but he still did tshuva bilvad. So I don't understand. If he did tshuva bilvad, isn't that everything?
Yeah,
at the end, the guy did tshuva.
Yes, so he's still not going to get the 400 olamot that other people are going to get. You can't expect. Nobody knows how it works after 120 because nobody knows. Only the mishpat amiti, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, shofet amiti, knows exactly what each individual's potential is and what you could and didn't do, and what we did do and should have did. And only God knows that. You don't know, I don't know, you don't know, nobody knows. Nobody knows. Okay, but you don't know where you're gonna end up. Nobody know. You can't say this guy's going there. It tells you how. Okay, but even with all that, it's like veins in a body, very intertwined, very intertwined. So let's review the derasha again. Okay, summary. It's good, but it's very all over the place. You gotta shuvavim is to explain to you. We said teshuvah leshaim. It means both. What is it coming to teach you? That no matter what, you're always in the game. The kinyan of a goy, of a nochri owning a Jew is only maaseh yadav, never beguf. The yetzara is the nochri. Like we learned in the Gemara, we learned it in the pasuk Tehillim. Lo yeh becha el zad. No, inside of you will not be a foreign ruler, and you're not bow down to this foreign ruler. And the Gemara Shabbat Kov Hey says what? Hu ezu el zad shehu begufo yetzara. So to show you that no matter how deep you go, the yetzara does not own you. does not own you. And it's funny because people you feel sometimes, you go through a guilt where it takes over you and you're just stuck. And the answer is that you can't allow it to be stuck. Take the day, do what you got to do. Tomorrow's a new day. You get your butt up and you figure it out. Not to say that you can figure it out in a day, but you're not just going to bow out. And that's shuvu banim shovavim. You do not bow out. And then we went through the pasuk, right? And we went through the whole thing about talking about that. We compared the daughter that was sold. Either she's going to be a shivcha or she's going to be a bat, right? And what is that? That's in neshama. That your neshama, that even the neshama that you're getting, neshama yetara, if the guy wants to select the other girl, not you, he's still obligated to pay you, to clothe you, and to give you ona once a week, twice a week, whatever it may be. It's a hayuv. Ona is relations, man and wife. It's the obligation of the man for the wife. Nothing to do with the wife of the man.
If he's another girl, he's supposed to still be with the first one?
If he's married, yeah. He has obligations.
Second wife, you're saying?
Even the first wife. The obligation goes for the first and second.
Same time.
Yeah.
Okay.
He still has an obligation. If he doesn't like sinua, he hates this one. But I like the other one. That's the main one. He says, not to the other one. He says to give her kesef. Says to give her kisui, clothing. So what does that mean? That you still have to learn Torah. You still have to rectify what you did in your previous lifetime. You still have to think about what you've done in previous lifetime, have harata and regret and fulfill you and do all these things. And then we finish by saying, what about a guy who in the 11th hour figures it out? He still gets, right?
Special world.
But the Zohar, he ain't gonna get the 400 worlds or anything. But I give a berachat to everybody here today that all came to us.
You just
that
got to but does not get like $200, you know?
Right. You forgot your $200 by Monopoly.
Let's bracha.
Yeah, really, by the way, I was in the... that we should all see the tikkunim that we all have to do through the limud of Zera Shimshon. And we should all be able to be koneh 400 olamot.
Amen.
בעולם הזה אין עולם הבא, ברוך אדוני לעולם, אמן ואמן. יהיה חניה וקשה אמן, עשה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות.
Number 3, but we can do college first.
Who's eligible to say
I'm eligible for my uncle. You got a thing?
Oh, yeah. No, boys.